more than anything, like just people always say they want to quit their job to trade, but trading is definitely a job, and it's a job that you got to work on the weekends. You work at weird hours, and you work at weird times of the day. So it's definitely a job and something that you have to commit to, just like a job. So let's see. So like I said, just wanted to hop on and do a little bit market review real quick, nothing too crazy, nothing too serious. Um, and then just kind of getting ready for next week and whatnot. So appreciate you guys for hopping on. Call won't be for too long. Just hop on, look at the chart, see what happened for the week with NFP and whatnot, and then like I said, get ready for next week. So it was some clean moves throughout the week. I mean, it was some clean moves when you actually trading, like in hindsight of things, like the moves weren't necessarily the cleanest, but like I said, so let's just go over these moves. So as always, right, what we always talk about with is starting with the DXY, just looking at the DXY to start your week off and just understanding, okay, what's going on with the DXY, then what can I be looking for with my USD based pairs, right? The goal is to be profitable. It's not about, trying to trade the pair that you like the most and doing those. The goal at the end of the day is just to be profitable. And what's going to be the most profitable and the most, the simplest things for you to trade. So well, at the beginning of earlier this week, we talked about the DXY being bullish and looking for buys, and it ended up that's what happened. It was just a very big bearish move that stop hunted those lows, and then we saw a super strong bullish move to end the week. So this is Friday, Thursday, Wednesday, Tuesday, Monday right here. So this is the start of the week with the DXY. I'm gonna bring it up on another template too, real quick. If you don't have your template set up, then just let me know that that's what you need so that we can make sure that your templates are set up. Because these are, I mean, at the end of the day, the templates are, the game changer and the thing that really, I feel like advanced me to that next step with trading and just, getting to where I want to be at. So looking at the DXY, right, to start this week. Let's see one more time. My bad. So this is where we start the week off, right? Okay, bam. So we started off on Monday over here. Now we always ask ourselves our three questions when you're trading. The three W's is like what I like to call them. The three W's. Where am I at? Where have I been? And where am I going? So, to simply answer those questions is when you go to your chart. So this is where we started the week off on Monday, right? So if we look to ask ourselves, that's where we're at right now. Where have we been in the market? When we look back the last 1, 2, we do our 3 to 5 day look back, right? If you're a note taker, these are the things you write down. Your three W's, where am I at? Where have I been? And where am I going? 3 to 5 day look back. Look back 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We can see pretty much that the DXY for the last 5 days, that previous week, like we had talked about, was what was sideways, right? The DXY has slowly been dropping down, but in the last 5 days, it was very much sideways and just kind of going back and forth. So now we understand, okay, where can we potentially be going? Now, like we said, from the previous week, if we don't have a clear direction from the previous week, that's when we just start to take for what the market gives us, right? So at the start of the week, this is when, like you said, I mean, it's you fall in love with these pairs and you fall in love with your moves, and everything is just a matter of, it's just a matter of patience. So looking at the DXY to start the week, we came in consolidate. When the market is like this and you open up your first box on your chart, the first box is between 5 and 12 o'clock, which is our Asian session, right? We know this. You if you don't, you should be you should be watching the videos. And don't be scared to ask questions, but you got to understand what everything is. So first box is between 5 and 12. The second one is between 3 and 4 o'clock. If we open up London session over here between 3 and 4, and we haven't clearly taken out the highs and we haven't clearly taken out the lows of the day, then a lot of the times I don't like to trade in between these times. I don't want to trade if the market hasn't taken out any highs or any lows because it's too much indecisive. And that's when you guys will see me like in the chat or you ever hear me say, it looks like it's low volume or low volatility because the market has been ranging in the same area for the whole between 5 and 12 o'clock all the way until 3 o'clock in the morning. We haven't had a clear break of the highs or lows. And then when we're looking back the last 3 to 5 days, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, we want to trade. If we're looking for sales, where we want to trade to? What do we want to trade by? We want to trade near highs if we're looking for sales. And if we're looking for buys, we want to trade near the lows. So going into Monday, when we started the week off right here, going into Monday, like I said, we could see that the market hasn't taken out the highs and the major highs, and it hasn't taken out the major lows, and it hasn't taken out the minor highs, which is the Asian high and Asian low yet. But then we can see throughout the night, where does it end up attracting to? The DXY ends up attracting to the lows. What happens when it hits those lows? Then we see it push up, pull back, and then play up, and it pushes up. Now, what happens after it? This is like I said, when you're tracking buyers and sellers in the market. Because now, if we're looking at that chart, if we're looking at the same chart and we go look at EU on Monday, what do we see happen on Monday over here? Or is this week? Uh, uh. I know somebody, earlier, like everybody was like, we were talking about how the market wasn't necessarily things weren't fully aligning with what was going on, right? But everything was just a matter of the patience part. Because now what do we see? Let me bring them up side by side. We're looking at the DXY right here on Monday. You should be able to see on the screen, where'd it go? You should be able to see on the screen the Monday date. There it is right here. For EU, I'll put the red line right here. That's Monday. And then this is the DXY over here on Monday too. So what do we already see that's opposite that ended up happening throughout the night? EU ended up attracting, or this is the DXY right here. The DXY ended up attracting to the lows, and this is yesterday's low. The black line is a high. It's either a high or low, the black line, right? It's the previous day high or low. So what do we see happen is the DXY ends up attracting towards the low between 3 and 4 o'clock. And then what happens after it hits that low? It starts to pull up, and then it gets bullish momentum. So what do we see happen with EU over here? What does EU do? EU goes throughout London. It pushes up, attract towards the high, takes out that high. And then what do we see happen after it takes out the high? It pushes up, pulls back down, pushes back up towards that high, and then drops to the downside from there. And where does it drop off to? Back towards the lows, right? So already what do you see right there is like you see that M type of pattern, right? You see that M pattern right there. And oh, what's it called? So we see that in pattern, but the biggest thing is you see the opposite with the DXY. We see the opposite with the DXY happen, right? Consolidate, consolidate, drop down, and what does the DXY create? A W, right? It creates the low, it pulls back, and then structure starts to be formed, and it starts to get the bullish structure to the upside. And then just look what happens going into the next day. Look what happens going into the next day. So now you do the same thing every day from right here on Tuesday. What do? You're going to mark your you're going to look at your last 3 to 5 days. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The same way that you did on Monday right here. And you look back 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And you looked at your highs and lows and understood who's in control of the market. And then from this point right here, we said, in the last 5 days, it's been sideways. In the last 5 days, it's been sideways. But if we're looking at this, the market keeps taking the lows, it keeps taking the highs. It's just going back and forth, right? So then, like we said, going into Monday, what happens now, though, we can see a clear bullish momentum from the previous day, right? Clear momentum on Monday. What did Monday end up as? If you were writing in your journal on Monday, Monday was a bullish day for the DXY. So then going into Tuesday, now you do the same thing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And you say, okay, if Monday was bullish, what can I be looking for? What am I looking for Monday to start? Now we look at that bullish momentum to start the day, and you can see how we push up. Now, where is it attracting to the? You look back like we did again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And this is where we're gonna find these highs and lows. AKA we're gonna find our we're gonna find our liquidity. So if I'm just looking at this again and I put off, this is Monday right here. This is a weekly high right here from 5 days ago. This high is the high of the previous week right here. This is a high of the previous week. So I'm gonna just draw this box or a line, whatever. I'm gonna draw that box right there at the high of the previous week. That's the high of last week. And then after that high, what do we see the next high is after that? If you go back a couple more days, right? Because you go back a couple more days to find out where can it potentially reach to. What do you have right there? You have another high, or is that the high of the week? No. Yeah, this is the high this week, and then this is the high from Friday from the previous week. So now as we're looking at this and we're looking at EU, and it's taking out these highs, and then you go over and you look at, or the DXY is taking out the highs, and then we go over and we look at EU. What's EU doing on Tuesday? The same thing. The DXY went and took out the weekly high from last week. What do we look at with EU? What did EU do over here on Tuesday now? Now, if you go on Tuesday and you go right here, this is where you started the day off. You do your 3 W's. Where am I at? Where have I been? And where am I going? This is why I do, this is why I host the Zoom calls for the last 3 years at the same time between 5 and 8 o'clock every night, because I do my markups between 5 and 8. And it's not even really too much of a markup other than it's, just identifying where liquidity is at, what happened the previous day, who's in control of the market, and what potential setups can be looking for, right? But you do your three W's: where am I at, where have I been, and where am I going? And then you leave the chart alone all the way until 3 o'clock in the morning. All the way until 3 o'clock in the morning. Like I don't people ask me, why I don't like doing one-on-ones after Zoom calls, and whatnot. And why I don't hop on, why I don't do one-on-ones at certain times. It's because I don't want to look at the market. I don't want to look at the charts, and neither should you. You can only study so much before it's actually applying and executing, the things that you learn. The things that you learn and things that that it's you have to apply it. You can only study so much. So I'm not going to look at the charts. I'm not going to study the charts for more than an hour, hour and a half every day, because the real part of it is actually applying what I know. And to be able to apply what we know, we have to be up. You have to be up. And that's the biggest thing that people struggle with, is actually being up. Being up on time. And like I said, you shouldn't be looking at your chart 2, 3 hours before London open, because then you have no chance at being up for London. You should be trying to take a nap, getting some rest, and setting your alarm at 3 o'clock to wake up. Sometimes I don't even wake up all the way until 3:30 in the morning. But that's like, I love those type of days when I don't wake up until 3:30, because I know it's a very high chance that you haven't missed anything. Now it's the perfect time to trade. People get stopped out of London trades at 2:30, 3 o'clock Eastern, before London has even opened, and then give up London trading completely, when the market, you haven't even given yourself opportunity to really catch the true move. So you just really truly have to discipline yourself to not be looking at the charts at all the way until 3 o'clock in the morning, after you do your markups during Asian session. And you'll see that over and over, you should be, you should back test it, and you should do your studies so much that you just realize that, okay, I just need to work on my timing. And it's the same thing for New York session. All the way until 9 o'clock, 9:30, you shouldn't be feeling like you're rushed to get in the trade, or feeling like you're gonna miss anything. You shouldn't, like, and that's just how it should be. And that's how you want to work on it. And you just have to lower your lot size and just trade. So like I said, looking back at EU now, we just established that the DXY went bullish. It cleared out last week's high. So after it clears out last week's high, are you still going to be looking for buys on the DXY at that point? No, right? That's what everybody is going to be doing now, is looking for buys on the DXY above that. That's the retail thing. The smart money trader, as you're looking at things on a different perspective, you're like, okay, now I could be potentially looking for the DXY to drop, to pull back down after it's taken out the highs. Because as market makers, the big money in the market, they got in the trades down here. The big money is all in down here. You have to think about things as an investor. If you wanted to buy, if this was a stock, would you buy the stock at all the way up here at 102,620, at 101,620, or would you buy the stock at 101,525? You would buy it at 101,525, right? You would buy that share. You would buy shares at that price, as opposed to 620, because you have too much risk up here. If anything, you would be looking to potentially short that, because you want to sell to buy. And the beauty of Forex is that you can sell and buy, and you don't make more money for buying, and you don't make more money for selling. So you just have to think about things as an investor mindset, when you're trading and just looking at a chart. Am I, as an investor, if I'm looking for buys, should I have been looking for buys somewhere at these lows, at these areas? Why, or should I be looking at sales at these areas? Should I be looking at buys this high, or should I wait for it to pull back, and then I'll look for buys after it gets back to these lows? And then what do we see happen is it drops all the way down, and then, it's like, not to say it's obvious on what we would be looking for after that, but we talk about these moves over and over, about the market playing back, creating imbalances, and just, about the type of moves to expect. But going into this, right, not even getting that far into the week, because, well, I mean, it does get into that far of the week, though. This is why you do your markups, and you just trade, and you write down your notes, and you remember what we talk about. If the market has taken out a weekly high, where do you expect the market to go to after it's taken out a weekly high, a major point, like a weekly or a monthly high, a high level of liquidity? What do you look for the market to do after that? If it takes out the weekly highs, where can it trade back to, and you expect it to? Back towards, for every high, there's a low. So if this is where liquidity is at for the highs, then the lows, the liquidity at for the lows is at down here, right? So after it takes out highs, and you start to expect the market to go towards lows. So what we see happen is, marked up this purple area, and that's important because now after the market takes out that high and it starts to drop to the downside, now you're bearish on the DXY. What are you looking for? One, where are you expecting this to go towards? You're expecting it to go back towards the weekly low, which is over here. And you can clearly see a lot of liquidity at that level, right? And liquidity is just buyers and sellers where they have their stop losses at. So there's a lot of buyers over here and a lot of buyers that came, hit that same level, and then bought up. So it's a lot of liquidity in that area, a lot of lows sitting right there that haven't been touched, right? It's the same thing right here, lows that haven't been touched. That's where liquidity is at. We call that sell side liquidity. If you ever see SSL on the chart, it's sell side liquidity because that's where you're expecting sellers to go towards, sell side liquidity. That's where sellers will look to take profit at because these sellers up here, it's the same thing. Now, the buyers that got in over here, they exit their trades at the weekly high. This is where they exit the trades at over here. They take profit on their trades because you can't hold on forever. You want to make money. The point is you can't make money if you don't take profit. You can be up in profit, but you never make money until you actually close the trade out. Same thing with withdrawals. You don't actually make the money until you make the withdrawal. You can have the money in your account, but until it actually, you can touch it, you can feel it, you can spend it, you didn't make anything. Just because you have the money sitting in your account and you're in profit, because you can go enter a trade and lose all that, the next day. And that's just the truth, just the reality of it. But like we said, looking at this, and this is when we start getting into our power of three, the PO3. This is when we start getting into our power of three in the day-to-day setups, because who can tell me right in the chat if if you remember what the power of three is or the big three, or you could even just write the initials if you don't, typing them out is a lot. But I'm about to say it anyways. Power of three, right? But for your notes, just mentally say it, mentally, say it and whatnot. But consolidation, manipulation, and distribution. I call it, I just say CMD. That's the easy way. CMD is the initials for, our power of three. So, yep, accumulate, manipulate. Did I write consolidate? Yeah, accumulate. I don't know why I wrote AMD. Accumulation, accumulation, consolidation, same thing, but accumulation, manipulation, distribution. Accumulation happens between 5 and 12 o'clock. Manipulation happens between 12 and 3. And then distribution happens between 3 and, the rest of the session. Between 3 and 4 o'clock is when you see your distribution. And it's the same thing for New York session, which is why you don't want to trade all night and why you shouldn't stay up stressing yourself. This is why I tell you guys, just get in trades when you go to sleep, throughout the week, and then just wake up and see what happens. That's how you'll really practice. Like, because you're gonna force yourself to hold the trade because you'll be asleep for at least 2-3 hours before New York opens. But if you sit there and hold you're sit there staring at your chart from 4, because this is what happens again. You see the same thing starting to happen. You start to see accumulation in the middle of the night. The market will go sideways between 4 and 8 o'clock, 4 and 7 o'clock. The market will go sideways. Then you'll see manipulation between 8 and 10 o'clock, and you'll see that distribution happen between like that 9:30 and 11 o'clock. So all this 4 to 8 o'clock, this is all gray area. You don't want to trade. You don't necessarily want to be trading, at 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning, because that starts to be the accumulation and that starts to be, the consolidation. Same thing with Asian session. You don't want to trade in between those times. And you want to be careful at trading between 12 and 3 o'clock before London even opens, because that's the manipulation. Same thing with New York session between 7 and 10, 8 and 10 o'clock, or, more so 7 and 9 o'clock. That's when you start seeing heavy manipulation in the market and you start seeing the opposite move of what you want. So you just have to be careful until 9 and 11 o'clock to really enter your trade and wait for the setup. I promise you, like, time and price is, it's the key to being profitable and catching the moves that you want. But looking at this move going into Tuesday, it's a good example, because what do we see happen right here? What do we see happen is the market accumulates, and accumulation, like we said, accumulation is just Asian session. No matter how much it buys or sells during Asian, it's accumulation, because it's working up buy and sell orders. We have people that bought in right here. People bought in, right? People took buy entries. People bought in, bought in. Same thing right up here. People start to look to sell because they're like, oh, it's at the highs. I'm selling, 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 selling. But all this is what? This is between 5 and 12 o'clock, the first box. When the box ends and it's between the first and the second box, what is that? That's between 12 and 3 o'clock. What is that? What do we just talk about? What's between 12 and 3? Manipulation, right? So, and then between 3 and 4 o'clock is when we start to see, our entries really play out in the move that we want. And everything is just patience. Because now between 3 and 4, what happens right at 3 o'clock? It shoots all the way up. It goes and just like I said, just see how the move that you want, if you're trading all day and you're staring at your chart and you're bearish on the DXY because you're like, okay, it's coming up towards the highs, it's taking out the highs, I'm bearish on the DXY. If you're looking at your chart, you're gonna enter a sell right here and you're on the DXY, or vice versa. You're gonna go enter buys on EU or GU because you're like, oh yeah, it's dropping down. DXY is dropping. I'm gonna go and get in buys, and we'll look at EU after this, and you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. But if you're staring at your chart all night, and it's 1:30 in the morning, 2 o'clock in the morning, you're staring at your chart all night. What happens? You sell off the DXY, and then right at 3 o'clock, where does it go? It pushes up. It takes out the high. Now you might get stopped out. It takes out the high, and it for the whole first hour, for almost between 3 and 4, it pushes up. But then after it takes out this high at 4 o'clock, it stalls out, and then what happens after that? It drops down, it hits back off that daily high, pushes, just pulls back a little bit. But then what do we have being formed right here? I'm on the 15 minute, but let's just go to the 5 minute to look at the candlesticks a little bit more. But what do we have right here? Like I said, at 4 o'clock, that high is down, it pushes it down, and then we can see it just slowly drops off. And you don't even have to drop down to the 15 minute. Or the 5 minute. I just look at the 5 minute, because that's where I look at entries. But more than anything, it's just about trusting, looking at your setup and understanding the direction in the market. Because now at 4, like you said, it's slowed out. If you look at your RSI, the RSI is also creating like divergences. It's sitting up very high, looking for that to drop. But even more important now, like I said, the biggest thing is not looking at your chart all night, because you would be able to identify that it's taking out those highs and that you're looking at a potential bearish DXY. But if you trade it all night, then you got stopped out here and you go look at EU now or GU. What day is that? We go look at EU or GU on that same day, right? Over here. This is perfect. So like I said, you're looking at it all night. You're looking at it all night, all night. You're looking at the chart, you're staring at it. You want to catch the move. You're bullish on EU now. You're bullish on EU. So now you're like, okay, cool. I'm bullish on EU. Now what are you going to do? It clears out the low from over here. It clears out these lows are right here, right? What do you do? Now you're like, oh, the DXY cleared out the highs. I'm taking this buy on EU at 2 o'clock in the morning, 1:30 in the morning. And what do you get? It does end up buying up, and it buys up, it hits the Asian low, and then what happens? Right going into 3 o'clock, drops all the way down, takes you out the trade. It might even go, run your stop loss. And then what happens then? It drops down, clears that out, and then between three, right around 4 o'clock, the market stalls out, and then after that, it's bullish for the rest of the night. So, but because you were staring at the chart all the way at 2 o'clock, you got in the trade, and now you're staring at the chart for the next 2 hours from 1 to 3 o'clock, you get stopped. You're too tired. You're not going to stay up all the way to 3 to 4 o'clock to catch that trade or even trust yourself to catch the entry, because now you're like, oh, the market is bearish. It's bearish. It's going to keep dropping because it stopped you out because you were trading too early, but you were right the whole time. And then what happens? You go to sleep, and then when you wake up for New York session and you look at the chart, you're like, what the hell? It's all the way back up here. And you got, that gets back at my TP. It's where I was looking to take profit at up here, back to Asian high, right? Because that's where you're going to look to take the trade to, back to Asian high. But then you're not a part of it. You might have lost money on the trade, whatever the case may be. And that's how it goes. All because of what? Not because your direction was right, because your direction was wrong, or you had the wrong setup, or you did something wrong. What you did wrong was just not waiting until it was time to trade. You were staring at your chart all night, you know? And then, like I said, you mixed your own bias up. You messed with your own head. So that's why I said, sometimes I like not being up until 3 o'clock, not waking up until 3:30 in the morning, because it's really the realistic of it is that you didn't miss anything. You didn't miss anything yet, like and it's just that's just how that's just like I said, you go through and you back test it enough, and you start to see that. But the biggest part of it all that we talked about that I want you to take away is you see that move early, but it was all about the timing of it. It was all about the timing and why you don't want to, get stuck in looking at your trades too much. And now, even looking at that setup, though, if you take that EU buy now during London session over here, where are you going to be looking to take profit at? One, back to Asian high, right? Back to your Asian session range, your daily range. But then if you're looking, like you said, you looked at the DXY, and the DXY takes out those highs. Where's it at? It takes out those highs over there, and you're looking for the DXY to go back towards lows. You don't want to take profit on EU until it goes back to highs. So if this is it took out your lows, you don't want to necessarily, close your full entry out until it gets back to the highs up here. And then that's the trade. And we can see how it takes, it pushes up on the first day. It goes, it does that daily setup. And then the next day, consolidate. And then going to London, it just continues to push up. And that on what, Wednesday? Wednesday really never gave out any re-entries. And Wednesday, you would have just got caught up in trying to sell it too much because of what? You would have been trying to sell. And that's like being, you got to be honest with yourself too. Or, not and just looking at things on a different, as a perspective, or go look at your charts. Maybe you did try to sell. And then, now you see why you wouldn't have been trying to sell because of what? If you did your markup and you did it again from right here on Wednesday, you did your markup, market review, whatever, and you do your three W's. Where am I at? Where have I been? And where am I going? What are you going to say? What are you going to do now? You're going to do the same thing that you did on Monday, the same thing you did on Tuesday. You're going to look back 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We don't even need to go back that far right now from this point. Because now we say, okay, who was in control of the market the previous day, the previous 2 sessions? Buyers, right? So now if buyers are in control of the market right now and it's pushing to the upside, then what are we going to be looking for the market to do? To go back towards the highs from potentially the last 3 to 5 days. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And these are our highs from the last 3 to 5 days up here. So if you got in a trade somewhere down here, you want to be looking to hold that trade to somewhere in these areas. It doesn't happen the first day. You hit your daily goal and your daily targets, and this back to your Asian range, but your overall take profit is back to these highs. And like you said, the next day, you wouldn't be looking to sell because if you're a seller, what are you going to tell yourself as a seller? If I'm looking to sell off this market, I need to see where the buyers are going to take profit at first. And that's at these highs up here. So I wouldn't even be thinking about selling until those highs get cleared. And then those highs never get cleared until, later that back at that Monday high doesn't get hit until later in the day. So you really wouldn't even been looking for sales at all on that day because it never gave out that opportunity because it never took those highs yet. We could see all the sales, it just sold down to buy back up. And then it ended up going, we can see, clearly what happened. It went very bullish. But then, I mean, it's just like I said, we're just back testing, looking at these moves from every day. And then as that happened, it's literally like we've been talking about the DXY going back and forth, taking out highs, going back to lows, taking out highs, going back to lows. Now we might see a clear direction going on in the market because we had the clear consolidation, the clear sideways movement with the DXY. It broke out, took out the lows, pushed up, took out the highs. So now we're gonna, we should see it pull back and potentially, continue going bullish from there. But more than anything, it's just taking the setups day by day. And you can see that the DXY is going to go take out highs. It's going to go take out lows. And this is where it attracts back to. So you ask why we trade the DXY, why I stress with trading EU, GU so much. And this is why. You know, um, this is the main reason right there. So just kind of like you said, going through back testing from the previous days, go through, do the same thing with GU, go through with EU, and literally literally the time, like to the exact time you want to go through and back test and be that precise with your back testing and your entries and just everything. Looking at these moves with EU last night, we caught some of these moves on the live London session last night. What did we catch last night? Was it EU or GU last night? I think it was what did I post? I don't even remember. I caught GU one. I think GU last night and then EU in the morning. So just looking at these moves from last night, right? Let's see. Why did we play GU? Why did we play GU buys last night? Why did we play GU buys last night? Cool. This is why. Which pair does the opposite of the DXY? If the DXY is bearish, if we're looking at the DXY is bearish and it's going to the downside, then we're looking at XXX USD, like GU, EU are the two, pretty much the only two pairs that I trade. If the DXY, if the DXY is bearish, then you're looking at those pairs as being bullish. Opposite correlation. So like GU, EU. And if the DXY is what I just do, bullish, If the DXY is bearish, then we're looking at GU, EU to be bullish. That makes sense, Junior. So last night looking at the DXY, right? Last night looking at the DXY, DXY came, it took out the highs from the previous day right here. So after it took out those highs and we had to consolidate. It came and took out that highs. It was a little bit riskier setup, like I literally said it last night. It's a riskier setup because we could still expect, the DXY to go back towards these highs. But before that happened, we're looking for some type of pullback. And I mean, everything happened pretty much exactly how we had talked about. And I sent out this, everybody, even if you're not in the live trading group, I opened up, my charts. I'm not going to stop you guys from being able to see my charts. And I didn't open a live trading group to to neglect people and not talk to people. But I did it because, like I said, I mean, we've been doing the same thing for the last 6 months. I don't open mentorship to people. And it's just, you have to have a certain level of seriousness and commitment to it. And I need to know from that, from everybody, from you as well. And that's why, like I said, I mean, $50 for 3 months of live trading and getting on Zoom calls and being able to see things happen, live is really important. But even then, I'll continue to drop out charts in here. And I opened up this chart, this might be, you should see these charts over here. I don't know why it's messing up right now on here. But just go, like I said, really just go through, check out this, check out GU, check out DXY. I'll drop a EU one too. Um, but just been sending out my chart. Let me see. Did I send out one for the DXY last night? Yeah, 2-3. This is the bearish setup right here. So this was the bearish setup. This is right here. This is looking at it on a trading view perspective. Consolidate right there. That's the Asian session range. And then well, I don't know why am I doing this when I can bring up trading view. Durr. Uh, cool. Let me bring this up real quick. Oh, I need to get a new computer. Okay, but I'm bringing up trading view while that loads. But looking at this setup, it took out the highs. So then when we look at GU, what did GU do? They both consolidate, like you say, consolidate between 5 and 12 o'clock, consolidate between 5 and 12, bam, bam, bam. And then what happened? It dropped down around what? Around like 2 o'clock ish. It dropped down. And so then going into London session was just looking for the opposite move of the DXY. I actually drew it up pretty much damn near perfect last night. So like I said, this is why I always stress with using TradingView. When I get on my charts and I'm trading, I enter all my trades on MT4 and I use MT4 for the templates because if this is what we're looking at last night, and really the main reason why I took this GU buy too was because we played inside our institutional levels, which didn't even go over today yet. We didn't even go over today. But this is why I took the GU buy last night. Played inside the institutional level, took the buy, and then played it up. And, it went up for over, 40, 50, 60 pips or something like that before dropping down, which is also why I stress with just following a trading plan, because if you get over thirsty, I took profit at Asian high. And I could be looking at that like, damn, I wish I was holding this trade. But if I keep saying that, then when are you ever going to take profit? And then you're never giving your chance. You don't make money until you take profit. So, like I said, I woke up very happy that I took profit at Asian high because when waking up, saw the market was all the way down here. And then would have got, would have never, then that great trade would be not worth anything, if you don't take profit. So, and this all happened in the middle of the night. I mean, this would happen with NFP. NFP took it straight to the downside, but that was the move that we got, during what's it called? During during London last night. And then same thing with EU. EU was very similar, right? Played off these institutional levels and bought up to the upside. Then NFP took it back to the downside, but it was all about that initial move. Looked at the DXY last night, bam, it created that new this yellow or not yellow. Why did I say yellow? This gray box right here is midnight. So everything to the left of that is Asian session. So even like, I just have an imaginary box, but that's our Asian session range right there. For my trading view people, um, you can that's all you got to do, right? So then going into this is at 3:30 right here. This is at 3:30. I'm going to draw this arrow. This is at 3:30 in the morning right here. Like I said, I think last night I woke up super late. What's it called? Hold on one second. Um, what's it called? This is at 3:30 in the morning. So like I said, we just looked at it from a different, it's just perspectives, right? And I like looking at TradingView because I think sometimes TradingView is easier on the eye and just the candlesticks, you can actually zoom them out and look at them in a bigger form. But like we said, this is at 2:35 right here, and you can look at your exact timing when back testing. This is at 2:30. So what's it called? We can see how at 2:30 it looked like it wanted to drop down. It pushed back up, and then at 3:30 it dropped down, created that bullish imbalance, that bearish, not even an imbalance, but that engulfing candle right there at 3:30. So then when it dropped down, that's when we pulled out the fib last night. This is like, I mean, this is why I tell you guys to join the call. I did all this on the call last night, while looking at things and just talking about the charts. And like I said, it pulled back, came right inside of here, drew that, looking for it to come back up, pull back, and then drop down to the fib levels. And everything played out, exactly as wanted. So then when we look over at GU, we're just looking for the opposite with GU. If we had a bearish fib with if we had a bearish fib with what's it called with DXY, then what am I looking for with GU? I'm looking for a potential bullish play, right? Looking for the bullish play. And what do we see happen? This is at 3 o'clock. This is at 3:30 right here. This is at 3:30 in the morning right here. This is a 3:30 candle on GU. You can see how at 2:30 in the morning, you can see how this is at 2:30 right here. 2:30, it was ready, you ready to buy. You could have entered a buy here, but if you weren't patient or you didn't have your setup, and then you go into a little bit of negative, and now you get nervous and you're like, damn, I'm gonna kill the trade. I'm gonna close the trade out. And then what happens? It literally consolidated until like 4 o'clock. I ended the call at like 4:10, and then it just took off right after. Um, but that's like I said, you just have to hold it and be patient. Just hold it and be patient and let your setup play out because it's not going to play out when you want to. Sometimes we get that move in that entry when it bounces and it just goes. And sometimes it, like you said, it plays in that area, consolidates for a little bit, and then it breaks out and ends up going towards, the way that we want. So that was looking at that move with GU last night. And then it was, like I said, it was a similar move with EU. I only played the GU one, but some people played EU last night, and they were, like I said, they were just both the same thing. Um, and you just want to go through, like I said, throughout the week, this is what my trading view looks like. It's not any crazy markups. I have my highs and lows, and I just map out my trades throughout the week. Monday took buys, Tuesday took buys, Wednesday took sales, Monday took buys. Or what did I just say? I don't even know what I just said. Tuesday took buys, Wednesday took buys, Thursday took sales, and then Friday took buys again. And what's it called? Like I said, just mapping out the trades, just map out your trades, and just being happy with your setups. This was like a 40 pip play. That was a 50 pip play. This was a 70 pip play. This was a 70 pip play. And a lot of them could have went for a lot more pips. Obviously, this 70 pip play could have been a 300, 400 pip play, but that's not the type of trader I am. I don't go for that much in one, I just stack because the market pulls back and then mentally you have to deal with all that. And I don't like dealing with that. I'll take the money and look for the repositions if possible. But the high and low indicator on TradingView, just go to indicators up here and then type in daily high and low. I use the one by, I think it's called Unknown Unicorn, maybe. I think Unknown Unicorn. True day session. These are the three indicators I use if you guys want to take a picture of them or write them down or whatever. These are my three indicators that I use on what's it called? Weekend, Saturday, Sunday shows you your weekend, the weekend, the weekend obviously shows you the weekend so you can see your weekly highs and lows really easily. True day session shows you 12 o'clock, 12 a.m. Eastern. So basically, everything to the left of, and that's the gray box. So the weekend, Saturday, Sunday is the yellow box. The true day session is the gray box, and then the highs and lows are the black lines. So, like I said, when looking at the chart, and let me just zoom out or whatever. The gray lines are 12 o'clock. The gray lines are 12 o'clock Eastern every single day, and then the yellow are the weekend, Saturday, Sunday, so you can see your weekly highs and lows. And that's one of the ways I just look at liquidity and see where the market is going at and reaching for and just identifying the highs and lows a lot easier. So that's pretty much it's kind of what I want. I just wanted to give you guys something, a call that you can go through, mark up the charts together real quick so you kind of have an idea of what you want to back test throughout the weekend, what you want to look at, how you want to back test and how you want to look at things. Literally that's why, like I said, make that TradingView Pro account or I don't even think I have TradingView Pro right now. But just use TradingView and literally to the time, look at the DXY, look at your pairs, look at GU and EU, and just literally map out everything to that exact time of when did the DXY make its move at what time, and what time did EU and GU make its move. And literally, you could even go write down every single night what time did it make its bullish or bearish move, what time, and you'd start seeing patterns. You start seeing patterns of the market making the same moves around the same time. And that's the biggest way that I built my discipline and my, why I don't rush with feeling like I miss moves, and why I don't look, like I said, just not looking at the charts and, being okay and knowing that you can pull up your chart at 3 o'clock, 3:30, and you can still catch a move for the night. So that's, that's pretty much the call. That's pretty much everything for today, you guys. I don't want to stay on too long. It's Friday. I appreciate you guys for hopping on last minute. I didn't have anything scheduled this week. It was a little bit different week with, kind of the changes and whatnot. Going into next week, the calls will probably be for mentorship, will probably be on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Probably on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, maybe Sunday, Wednesday, Friday. For mentorship, live trading will be live trading London and New York throughout, all next week again. And that's kind of, like I said, that's how things will be. I did close it. I did close out the discussion chats for, for everybody in the mentorship and whatnot. And that doesn't stop you guys. If you don't want to join live trading for whatever reasons, or you're not ready to, you still can send me your charts. You can still send me, let me know you're trading. Let me know what you're looking at. Shoot me a DM with a chart or something like that. And that doesn't, like I said, that discussion chat shouldn't stop you from feeling like that you can still hit me up, or mentorship, or whatever the case may be. But I do recommend everybody, getting in the live trading group. I keep it for $50 for 3 months this weekend. Come next week, I'm just going to increase it because it's not fair to everybody that I keep telling, I keep telling everybody, that everybody that has joined already. So that's that for, like I said, I appreciate you guys for hopping on. The call was recorded, so I'll post this recording on YouTube. If you want to go, support the YouTube, watch it on YouTube, subscribe on there. I'm gonna post some more trainings this weekend as well. But yeah, you guys, I appreciate you guys for hopping on. I'll stay around for a couple of seconds if anybody has any last minute questions about what we just looked at with the charts. But if not, then like I said, I appreciate you guys for hopping on, and I will see you guys either on Sunday or Monday. I think we might be good, huh?
Thanks, Mike.
No problem, no problem. Good seeing you. Good seeing you guys. Good seeing everybody. If you guys are trying to get in a live trading group, just shoot me a DM, and we'll get you situated. So appreciate you guys. I'll drop this recording. I'll update everybody when the recording is sent out, and I will talk to you guys very soon.